Good day, students, and welcome to our new lesson in EduCprof 102. Today's topic is all about education and society. Just to give you a heads up, here are the following contents that we're going to discuss. First, the open system perspective in education. Second, moral education by Émile Durkheim. And third, the school class as a social system by TALCOTT Parsons. At the end of our lesson, you should be able to analyze relevant concepts in education and society. Share the importance of understanding Émile and TALCOTT's perspective on education, and of course, you must be able to create a graphic organizer about schools as an open systems. Let us begin first with an open system perspective in education. According to Norlin 2009, schools are social systems in which two or more persons work together in a coordinated manner to attain common goals. Now, class, this definition is useful for simply it specifies several important features of schools. Now, first, they consist ultimately of people. Who are they? We have the teacher, the students, parents, non-teaching personnel, other school staff, and even the stakeholders outside the said school institution. Second, they are goal-directed in nature. Third, they attain their goals through some form of coordinated effort. And of course, they interact with their external environment. In addition, according to Scott 2008, open system views of schools constantly interact with their environments. In fact, they need to structure themselves to deal with forces in the world around them. That's why all schools, or let's say all school leadership, like let's say the principal, the school admin, should be able to coordinate with the external forces, like outside the community, in order for them to adapt depende kung ano yung kinakailangan. That's it, no? And moreover, all schools are open systems, although the degree of interaction with the environment may vary. What do we mean by that? It may vary depending on their needs that are aligned to the objectives. Likewise, the vision and mission of the said school institution, napa-private man ito or public. In contrast with school as an open system, we do also have concept or theory about closed system. So this one is the direct opposite concept of the open system, wherein here, schools are sufficiently independent to solve most of their problems through their internal forces without taking into account forces in the external environment. So they're like independent to solve their own problem. However, of course, consider that a school closing or realignment of school boundaries, for example, it affects the people, not only the people in the school, but also those outside it. So meaning to say, in both the community it's moving from and the one it's moving to. Hindi kagaya ng open system na they consider the parang feedback or let's say idea na from the external forces. So this one, mas close sila. Gusto nila na internally sila yung mag-solve kung ano man yung problem or challenge sa kanilang institution. Which is happening. But of course, at the end of the day, the school managers, other staff, teachers, must cooperate with one another in order for them to solve the given problem. What I have mentioned earlier is both concepts between two systems, right? The open system and the other one is the closed system. But what do I really mean by system? According to Senge 2006, a system can be defined as an interrelated set of elements functioning as an operating unit. Always remember that when we are talking about system theories, no, it works on both system nga eh. So it works on inside, not only inside, but also the outside of the organization. It should work both inside and outside the organization. In order for us to understand and anticipate what are the possible consequences, what are the possible outcomes, what are the possible, let's say, output of any decision. So we should be aware about that. Because everything that will happen, everything that will come out, ay magiging bahagi, no, ng kabuuan ng nasabing school institution or eskwelahan. O let's say, sa kabuuan, edukasyon. So that's it. According to Scott 2008, an open system consists of 5 basic elements. We have inputs, transformation process, outputs, feedback, and the environment. So we're going to be dealing with the following elements, 5 basic elements, in order for us to dig deeper the significance of this lesson. Ba't nga ba natin to? Bakit nga ba natin to dinidiscuss? Okay? So let's begin with the first one. Okay, class. So let's begin with the first one. We have here inputs. Input refers to systems such as schools use 4 kinds of inputs or resources from the environment. It includes human resources, financial resources, physical resources, and information resources. So basically, when we say human resources, it has something to do with the administrative and staff talent, labor, and the like. So it's more on the people who are working together in order the school not to function very well, very effective, enthusiastic, and so on. So that's it. Human resources, part of input. Another input that we have here is financial resource or resources. It has something to do with the capital the school or school district uses to finance both ongoing and long-term operations. Diba? Basic, financial. So it has something to do with providing the capital or the essentials in order to function the school's needs, requirements, and other stuff. Okay, class. So let's proceed with the next input. We have here physical resources, wherein it includes supplies, materials, facilities, and equipment. So this one is, I think, self-explanatory. Obviously, if the school wanted to provide something that is very effective, something that is very beneficial to their dearest students, then they must, of course, give importance in preparing the physical resources needed. The next input that we have here is all about information resources. So this one is a bit different because we are talking more on, or we are referring more on the knowledge, the curricular data, and other kinds of information utilized by the school or school district. Of course, the library, not only the library, but also the group of relevant departments and individuals must help one another to deliver effective and efficient service or services. So class, that was the summation of the first element, which is input. Now let's proceed with the second one. It's all about the transformation process, wherein it says here that it involves combining and coordinating these various resources, the one that we have mentioned earlier, in order for the school to attain their goals, their vision, mission, aspirations, and such. No? And always remember na kapag pinag-uusapan natin ang transformation process, of course, interaction is a must. There must be an interaction, class. So, why do I say so? Or how do I say so? Remember that the interaction between, let's say, students and teachers is part of the transformation or learning process by which learners become educated citizens who are capable at the same time of contributing to the society. So there is a transformation of what? Learnings, skills, abilities, and other talents that they can, hone. They can develop, moreover, to improve as well. Now, class, in addition, this transformation process includes the internal operation of the organization and its systems or system of operational management. Like, sino-sino yung mga yon? Of course, pasok na pasok dito, class, we have the school personnels, the non-teaching personnels, the registrar, the accounting, even the guidance, clinic, ancillary. Of course, hindi naman ito mag-e-end lamang sa guro at mga estudyante. It has something to do as well with the other persons, inside the school institution. May proseso pa din ng pagta-transform. Iba-iba nga lang yung transaction, iba-iba nga lang yung purpose. But if you're going to look at it, if you're going to look at the bigger picture, ang lahat ng ito ay mayroong contribution within the said school institution. And there is a transformation process. Remember, they are working together, They are helping one another to target their objectives. Set of objectives planned by the said school leaders. Now this time, let us have output or outputs. In social systems, outputs are the attainment of goals or objectives of the school district and are represented by the products, results, outcomes, or even the accomplishments of the said system. And mind you, class, that it is the principal's job to secure and use inputs to the schools, transform them, while considering as well external variables. Mahalaga kasi yun na i-consider natin yung external forces, in order for us to produce outputs. Hindi lang basta-basta output, kundi the competitive one. The one that is very beneficial. The one na magbibigay ng malaking impact sa pagdevelop ng hindi lang ng paaralan, kundi ng mga tao sa loob ng paaralan. Most especially, our dearest learners. Okay? So take note about this one. Class, by the way, I forgot. I remember as well that although the kinds of outputs will vary with specific school, kasi kanina nalaman naman natin na magkakaiba-iba din sila ng pangangailangan depende kung ano yung kanilang nakalatag na objective. So, ganun din sa output. Maaari din na magkaroon ng pagkakaiba-iba, variation, depende kung ano yung pinaka-target ng nasabing school. But of course, they usually include one or more of the following. Maaring ganito, Dito sila magkapare-pareho, maaari. One or more of the following. First is growth and achievement level of students and teachers. Sino ba naman? Sinong school ba naman ang ayaw na maging parte ito ng kanilang outcome, no? Ang pagkakaroon ng growth and at the same time, achievement levels of students. Not only students, take note, but also teachers. Aside from that, we do also have, we need, or they need as well to consider the number of dropout rates, employee performance and turnover, school community relations, and of course, job satisfaction. No, those are the things na they need as well to consider. But of course, it varies. Depende kung ano yung target or ano yung gustong i-highlight ng nasabing institution or school institution. Let's have the second to the last element, which is all about feedback. This one is really important for me. Napakahalaga nito sa lahat ng aspeto ng pakikipagsapalaran, no? It says here that it's crucial to the success of the school operation, of course. It plays a vital role in developing a certain school operation. No? Remember as well that negative feedback ay makatutulong din in developing the said school. Now, for example, bakit siya naging helpful, ma'am? Because it can be used to what? To correct deficiencies, to correct lack, to correct, let's say, weaknesses or weakness in the transformation process or even the inputs or both, no? Which in turn will have an effect on the school's future outputs. So, dapat bilang, let's say, kawani or isa sa mga kasama, no, sa nagde-develop ng nasabing eskwelahan, dapat we're also willing to accept, to listen, and to work more on the negative feedback. Of course, maging grateful tayo about the positive ones, but on the other hand, let's always remind ourselves na maigi din na makikinig tayo dun sa iba pang mga feedback na makatutulong para lalong ma-develop yung skills mo bilang teacher, yung skills mo bilang kawani ng school, ano man yung position mo, no, sa nasabing school, as a whole, no, bilang kabuuang bahagi ng eskwelahan, dapat you must be willing to accept and to work more on that negative feedback. Sabi nga, no, sa mga negatibong feedback na iyon, mas lalong titindig yung school, na mas lalo kang, mas magiging capable na makapag-offer, hindi lang basta-basta ng quality education, but also the one na very relatable, no, sa isa't isa, sa bawat isa. Now, let's have the last element in open system, and this is none other than the environment. The environment includes the social, political, and economic forces that impinge on the organization. Always remember na itong mga to naka-apekto to, that we should also as well give emphasis whenever the teachers are teaching something na related with this one, because of course we always, teachers, always see what are the students' approach kapag sila ay outside the school institution, let's say sa community, paano nila ito haharapin. So the environment in the open systems model takes on added significance today in a climate of policy accountability. We can also include in this one, syempre, na hindi tinitingnan yung political, economic status ng isang estudyante, dapat hindi ito makakahadlang, para makareceive siya ng nararapat na education. Ano man ang estado niya sa lipunan. Now, that's why we have the NCLB Act of 2001, otherwise known as No Child Left Behind Act of 2001, wherein kailangan lahat included, We are talking about inclusive learning. So, dapat walang mali-left behind na bata. Hindi porket siya ay nagmula sa ganitong status, economic status, na political or whatever, no, ano man yung kanyang social status and so on, kinatatayuan sa buhay. So, dapat hindi makahadlang yun, class. So, we should always remember, no, the concept of inclusive learning. Moreover, in this element, the inputs are used, no, to teach students, the one that I have said earlier. The inputs are used to teach students who are then exported into the outside environment. So, specifically, let's say may mga lessons, let's say sa history, other literature na tumutukoy, no, sa mga nasabing konteksto nitong environment, then they must, or teachers must integrate, values, yung nararapat, no, on how they're going to interact outside of the school institution. Palagi tayong after with the real-life application, real-life situation. Okay? So, dapat hindi lang tayo mag-end only with facts na nakukuha sa books or kung ano mang material iyan. At the end of the day, real-life scenario, no? Real-life application ay talagang number 1 sa listahan na dapat maisagawa ng student, no? Outside the school institution or outside the classroom. Kasi nandun ang realidad. Yun ang pinaka-application ng mga bata. Kung ano yung natutuhan nila from, let's say, their teachers, or the assigned subjects, and so on. Now, that sums up the first part of our discussion. If ever you have questions or clarifications, just comment your queries, concern, using the comment box, I think, below. Without further ado, let's proceed to the second part of our discussion. This is all about moral education by Émile Durkheim. So let's have a quick background about Émile Durkheim. Émile Durkheim was a French sociologist. He formally established the academic discipline of sociology and is commonly cited as one of the principal architects of modern social science, alongside Max Weber and Karl Marx. No? Moreover, did you know that, class, Émile Durkheim was a big believer in education and possibility of moral education as means for social reform. So, yun ang kanyang paniniwala. That the combination of education and moral education means a lot para magkaroon ng social reform, no? Pagbabago tungo sa ikauunlad ng bayan. Like that. So that's the concept. That's the belief, no, by Émile Durkheim. Let us learn more about moral education by Émile Durkheim. In moral education, Durkheim describes morality as comprised of 3 elements on which morality is constructed: discipline, attachment, and autonomy. According to him, class, education provides children with these 3 aspects of morality required in order to function in the society. Of course, magsisimula yan sa loob ng paaralan, sa bawat classroom. Kumbaga ito yung mini representation of society. Magiging ground nila yon, no? Training ground, upang kapag lumabas na sila dyan sa mini society na iyan, no, kahit papaano meron na silang kaalaman. Hindi lang kahit papaano, but also they have the idea already on how are they going to interact, paano sila makikipagsabayan, and so on. So here, school, for example, demands children of both disiplina, sa simpleng pagbibigay ng instruction na umupo, tumahimik, pumila ng maayos. Of course, magsisimula to sa pinaka basic education hanggang sa ito'y madala nila sa iba pang level, no, ng pag-aaral. Of course, para din tong spiral progression. Nagtutuloy-tuloy, no? Bagamat umuulit, pero nagtutuloy-tuloy. But hindi ibig sabihin ng class na ito'y parang na parang stagnant na. Kumbaga, madami pa rin nabibigyan or nababagayan, no? Na panibagong practices para sa ating mga students. So that's it. Simpleng disiplina. Of course, it matters. The second one, ano ba yun? Attachment. Yun yung nabanggit natin here. No? Isa sa mga elemento ay ang attachment. Of course, sinuturo sa paaralan ang pagmamahal sa ating bansa, no? Love our country. Pagbibigay importansya sa mga taong nagbigay na malawak na kontribusyon, no? Ang pagiging makabayan, attachment. And of course, magsisimula yan, ayon sa nabanggit ko, no? Sa loob ng paaralan. Yung simpleng pagbibigay nila ng pagpapahalaga, maaring sa gamit nila, sa mga kapwa-estudyante, guro, anumang senaryo sa loob ng eskwelahan, hanggang sa sila'y lumabas, sa family nila, maya-apply din nila ito. And as time passes by, of course, habang lumalayo yung tinatahak nila, nagiging mas kapaki-pakinabang ang aral na itinanim sa kanila, no? Ng kanilang mga guro at maging ng mga magulang. So, mahalaga ito para magkaroon din ng pagbabago sa ating society. And lastly, we have autonomy. Autonomy. Ang simpleng, let's say, task na nagumawa ng homework, let's say, i-accomplish ang isang activity, no? Mag-submit, mag-comply, and so on, ay bahagi, no? Na kung saan ang mga estudyante malalaman nila na ang kahalagahan ng pagsunod sa mga alituntunin, sa mga kinakailangan. Remember as well na ang pagsunod sa anumang instruction, anumang utos, no, na nagmumula sa loob ng paaralan, maging sa kanilang munting tahanan, ay malaki din ang maitutulong para sila ay maging masunurin, no? O let's say, kapag lumabas sila outside the school institution, of course, the community, may mga alituntunin, may mga batas, may mga guidelines na kailangan sundin. So, ito yung malaking bahagi ng kanilang, let's say, pagsasanay or training ground na pagtitrain, pagpapractice, nang sa ganun, maging mahusay sila, no? Mahusay na citizen sa nasabing bansa. Now, class, to sum up Moral Education by Émile Durkheim, tandaan natin that education is the source, no? Source of morality. Then this means the morality can be changed through education and society reformed. Yan ang ating palaging tatandaan. Of course, paano magkakaroon ng isang organisadong bansa kung pagdating pa lamang sa simpleng instruction, no, na nagmula sa paaralan ay hindi na natin kaagad maisaayos o maisakatuparan. So it matters para magre-reflecto sa darating na panahon na once na maging kabahagi sila sa pagpapalago o pagpapatakbo ng bansa or ekonomiya or ng lipunan, no? So ito'y bahagi na tinatawag nating social reform. Ayon sa ideya o kaisipan ni Émile Durkheim, which I myself agree, no? Ako'y sumasang-ayon sa kanyang ideya, no? Opinion ko lamang ito, class. Solely my opinion. The third and last part of our discussion is all about TALCOTT Parsons' perspective on education. Let us see, class, kung meron silang pagkakapareho or let's see kung merong pagkakaiba ng perspektibo in line with education itong si TALCOTT and Émile Durkheim. Just a quick background about TALCOTT Parsons. He is an American sociologist of the classical tradition, best known for his social action theory and structural functionalism. Parsons is considered one of the most influential figures in sociology in the 20th century. And the big reveal about him, class, siya lang naman, no? Yung nag-outline ng kilalang functionalist view of education. He outlined what is commonly accepted as the functionalist view of education as it relates to modern societies in late 1950s. So this one, the functionalist view of education, we discussed the given concept, I think, last week. Last time that we had our synchronous class. You can check if you want, just check the last lesson kung nalimutan na. No, but yeah, that's it. Functionalist view of education outlined by Talcott Parson. Let's learn more about his idea. Parsons argued that after the primary socialization within the family, the school takes over as the focal socializing agency. School acts as a bridge between family and society as a whole, preparing children for their adult roles in society. The school prepares people, or let's say students, no, for this transition. Kumbaga nga na banggit natin kanina, na ihalin tulad natin sa parang isang training ground, no? Wherein, ini-establish nito yung mga kakayahan, ang mga karapatan o karapat-dapat na gawin ng mga students na yung inaasahan sa kanila paglabas ng nasabing school. In terms of achieving, let's say, a disciplined citizens, of course, they must learn first, syempre, sa tulong ng kanilang family, and of course, the school institution, teachers, and other stakeholders. In conclusion, like Durkheim, Parsons argued that the school represents society in miniature. By reflecting the operation of society as a whole, the school prepares young people for their adult roles. So that sums up our lesson for this afternoon. I hope you learned something today. And that's it. If you want to share rather, your learnings, your takeaways, you can simply comment down below. And that's it. Also, class, do not forget to access the Google Form link that I have posted in our Google Classroom. You only have until 6 p.m. to accomplish the said assessment. And for your second performance task in EduCprof 102, you are going to create a graphic organizer about schools as an open systems. You will be graded according to the following rubric: content 10 points, organization 10 points, creativity 5 points, and promptness 5 points, total of 30 points. Take note as well, class, that your preliminary examination ay sa April 15. So I'm gonna be sending the link via Google Classroom, so please be guided accordingly. April 5, your prelim examination. Aside from your preliminary examination, please do take note as well the following reminders. April 12 will be your research day for your reporting. April 19, education and culture. You magre-report, that's the topic. April 26, the topic is school culture and school improvement. May 3, school leadership. And pagdating ng May 10, your midterm examination. So the other details for the reporting will be posted as well sa ating Google Classroom. Everything will be communicated via Google Classroom and or group chat. So this is just a reminder, just to give you a heads up of what will happen sa mga susunod na weeks. So that's it. If ever you encounter, let's say, question, concern, queries, just feel free to raise your concern sa ating group chat. Once again, class, thank you so much for considering this video. See you next time, and please be ready on your reporting and or preliminary examination. Goodbye.